Welcome back to Trucking and Politics. So, I have put out a few feeler videos here about the stock market and talking about my history of being in the stock market. And I made money off of the market, I've lost money off of the market. I got out of it probably around 2010 is when I totally got out of buying and selling stocks. I was an owner operator at that time, and I concentrated more on being an owner operator, and I just let the stock market account go into hibernation. With doing these videos and thinking about this and all, the other day I signed back into my stock market account. It was locked, it was into hibernation. I called, we got it up and going again, and it piqued my interest. And I started thinking about getting back into the stock market. So I've been doing these videos and putting a little feeler out there to see if anyone would be interested in knowing how to get into the stock market. And I've got some positive feedback. So, what I have decided to do, hopefully, I won't run all my subscribers away with this, but I want to change a little bit about trucking and politics for the time being. This is the week of Thanksgiving 2024, and I think I should be done with all of these stock videos by the end of this year. If not, by maybe January of 2025. We've got a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of information here to put out. And I want to do a slow, detailed approach about what the stock market is, how to read stock charts, what is a trigger to buy a stock, what is a trigger to sell a stock, what the stock market means totally in general, and your approach. Like I said in the other video, I had the wrong approach whenever I got into it. I wanted to change $100 into 10 million overnight. The stock market doesn't work like that. It is an investment tool. It's a way for you to make a passive income. If you don't know what you're doing and you're foolish with it, like I was back then, you can also lose a lot of money. I've learned a lot, and I went through the school of hard knocks, and I learned. It's like when you touch something hot and it burns, you know not to do that again, right? So I think with my experiences, with my knowledge, and walking through this in a slow, detailed manner, I think it will help me. I think it will help you. And it will give us a way to have a passive income as truck drivers or whomever. Anyone is invited to trucking and politics. Doesn't have to be truck drivers. You could be whoever, you know. So, with that being said, I'm not a paid financial advisor, okay? And I am not twisting your arm and making you get into it. I'm not wanting to run all of my subscribers away that just want to hear about trucking subject matter here. This is just an addition to. And once we get through this, it'll go back to normal trucking and politics videos once we get past this stock thing. So, with that being said, What I would be very wrong about doing is not setting this up to where we're both on the same page. Okay? The stock market is not like going to a casino and putting money into a slot machine, pulling the handle, and hoping that you win. That's not the stock market. It is not putting money down on a Detroit Lions game, hoping that they will win. It's not like sports betting. It's not that at all. The stock market has a lot to it. It's not just stocks. You have lots of different options. Lots of different options. Okay? Even stocks themselves. I'm getting a little ahead of myself right here. You have stocks, you have ETFs, you have mutual funds, you have options, commodities, Bitcoin, crypto. You have so many different options with stocks, and each one is different. Stocks themselves have different levels. You have low risk stocks, you have medium risk stocks, and you have very high risk stocks. I'm going to detail all of this different stuff through these videos. Okay? And there's something that I must do before we just take off and get into this really hard leveled into it. We need to do a little preventive maintenance. Okay? Everyone in truck driving knows preventive maintenance. You know, you got to take care of your equipment. You got to get it set up and ready to go before you just take off. You know, you got to do your pre-trips. That's the way I'm going to look at this stock market thing. This video is about doing your own financial pre-trip before we take off. There are 3 B's that you must know, that you must be aware of before you get into the stock market, into investing. 3 things you must do. The very first one is going to be hard to talk about. It's a very personal thing for you, for me, for all of us. Very personal thing. Must be done. I had a truck driver friend a couple of months ago, I guess. He said, man, I remember the old times. It used to be so good. And I said, oh yeah, when all the cab overs was running around and we were 95 miles an hour with logbooks a day behind and just getting out there and getting it, you know, just running crazy, being outlaws. And he said, no, I'm not talking about that at all. And I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, the really old days. And I said, what? And he said, like when we were kids and we ran down to the mailbox and we pulled the mail out and all of the bills were in our parents' name. I remember those good old days too. But now we're doing this thing called adulting. The bills come in our name. The bills come in our name. So that means we have to discuss something that is very, very important. The very first B of the 3 B's is budgeting. I know it sucks. It sucks. But it must be done. It really must be done. Don't be dumb like I was when I first got into stocks, because Stocks is investing your money. Like I said in one of the previous videos, don't take a cash advance out of your credit card to go into stocks. Don't do that, folks. Don't do that at all. That's not smart. That's not a smart thing to do. Budgeting is very simple. It's really, really hard. It's like giving a kid broccoli and saying, eat this. It's really good for you. And the kid's like, I don't want to. That's nasty. That is what budgeting is to so many people. And really, it's not that hard. You know, it's taken me a long time. My wife and I do this just, without even thinking now. So if you're good at budgeting, you can skip through this part and go to the next B part. People that don't do budgeting or they're not good at it, or if you just want to watch this and learn from it, it must be said and it must be done. Now, the very, very easy way to budget, in my opinion, is just take a sheet, a notebook, and write 1 through 31 down on this notebook. That represents the days of the week. Okay? Write all your bills down. What do I mean by bills? A bill is something with a due date. A house payment, your rent, a mortgage, condominium payment wherever you live. Maybe you have an agreement with a friend or a relative that you pay them to stay there. Whatever it is, that should come first. And then whatever other bill you have with a due date, a house payment, a credit card payment. You shouldn't have credit cards, but if you have them, write them down. Anything with a due date, insurance. Now, write all that stuff down, draw a line, add it up, put your total down. On that same sheet of paper, or you could do it on a different sheet. If you want to be really, really fancy and technical, you could do a spreadsheet on your computer. Whatever works for you. Now, the other thing you need to do is write down your variable expenses. Your variables will be underwear, clothes, shoes, toiletries, paper towels, hair products, whatever stuff you use. Hats, I like hats myself. Anything. And this will be a guesstimation because it changes. That's why they call it variables. It changes. You have to set and think, how much money do I spend each month on eating out, gas, razors, whatever it is that you buy. How much money do I spend? And be honest. You don't have to be honest with me. Be honest with yourself. Okay, because this is very important, and I'll get to why this is very important. Write down your variables, draw a line, do it on a monthly, we're doing a monthly budget here. 1 through 31 days on your bills, 1 through 31, you don't have to do days on your variables, but, just think of the first week of the month, the last week of the month, and all your variables that you do. Draw a line and add those two numbers together. Write that number down. Now, how much do you make? What are all your sources of income? What is it? Do you just get paid to drive a truck and that's it? Do you work in an office? Are you a dispatcher? Are you a broker? Whatever it is, write down how much you make. Let's just be very simple math. Let's say you make $1,000 a week. There's 4 weeks in the month typically. 4 times 1, 4,000. Write 4,000 down, subtract your bills, your variables from that. You should be plus. You should have a plus. Okay? You should have. If everything's going good, you should be positive. My next question is, the next question you should ask yourself, what do I do with the extra money? Do I just keep it in the checkbook? Does your checkbook account number keep going up each month because you're constantly adding more money to it? Or do you have a 401k or some type of investment? If you're showing a plus, but your checking account balance is staying the same month to month to month, you've got a problem. You're not being honest with your budget. If you're negative, you've got an even bigger problem. If you're a huge number negative, you've got a severe problem. This is something that we must take care of as adults before we go off in another direction and want to make money off of gambling, making money off of buying lottery tickets, making money off of going to the casino. We've got to get this straightened out, folks. We've got to fix this. We do. My suggestion is, if you do this and you see that you have a big problem, my suggestion is you should go listen to Dave Ramsey. That's my honest thing. If he's a little too hard, a little too rough around the edges for your liking, there's other people out there. Okay? But we need to fix this problem. And you say, why? Why does it matter? I'm $1,000 negative a month. Why does it matter? Well, let me tell you why it matters. How many people have you heard of? How many times have you heard this story where a person wins the lottery and within 2 years they are flat broke and owe $1 million in taxes? There's a show that I've watched before. I think it's called Curse of the Lottery. The Curse of the Lottery. You think you're doing really good. I won the lottery. I've got $1 million. But then it turns into a curse. Why would it turn into a curse? Because you don't know what is going on with your money. You don't have control of your money. Your money has control of you. I have a really good friend. The day I met him, the week, month that I met him, he had money issues. Last week, he had money issues. I've known him for years. It is a problem that he will not address. The stock market's not going to fix this for you. If that's your mentality, if that's what you're thinking, that's what I was thinking back in 2007. I was going to get in there, kick the door open, guns blazing, turn a $100 bill into 10 million, and even if that would have happened, it didn't happen for me, but even if it did happen, it wouldn't have fixed anything. It wouldn't have fixed a single thing. In fact, it probably would have made my situation worse that I was in. It would have been the curse of the lottery for me. If you know where all of your money is coming in, you know what all of your money, where all of your money is going out, you've got control of it. That is the mindset that I want to be in. That is the mindset that I want you to be in when we go into doing this stock investment. It's not stock gambling, okay? It's stock investments. And another thing you have to think about, if you go into it and you don't have control of your money, anybody in the world can tell you what to do with stocks and investing and all, and it's not going to do any good, because you're just going to go in there and say, okay, now I know how to get in, now I know how to buy and sell stocks, and you're going to go in and just start stabbing in the dark. It's like you've got two knives in your hand and you're just taking stabs in the dark. Well, I'll buy this stock and I'll buy this stock and I'll sell this one and I'll buy this one, and you're all over the place. There's no method to your madness, and you'll just burn yourself out, and you'll get out and say, this is stupid. You can't win with this. I'm losing my butt and I'm done. How do I know this? How do I know this? Because that was me. That's how I know this. Now, if you know where your money is, and you know where your money is going, and you know how to buy and sell stocks, and you go with a cautious, calculated approach, it will greatly increase your chances of winning. Yeah. See how that works? Let's take a more cautious, slow approach, a more calculated approach, and know what we're doing. In order for us to do that, we have got to lay the foundation. We have got to get our personal finances tucked in, and we have to know what we are doing day to day, week to week, month to month, so we don't have to worry about jumping into the stock market and becoming instant millionaires, because more than likely that's not going to happen. So, not to cut you down and not to hurt your feelings, let's do this. If we're going to do this, let's do this in the correct way. In order to do it the correct way, we've got to correct ourselves. And I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to this guy right here. All right, that's enough of the budget thing. Second thing is balanced goals. Now, that is different than just having a goal. Balanced goals. When I said you don't want to borrow money to get into the stock market, you don't want to borrow money. Period. You need to stop that. That is something Dave Ramsey talks about all the time on his channel, whatever his program, I guess. He's big time. He's nationwide. He's worldwide. So Dave Ramsey preaches this all the time. There's a guy on YouTube. I love his channel. I love listening to this guy. But he's telling you false information. I won't tell who it is because I don't want to run him down and run his channel down. But he is talking about wanting to become a millionaire. But he's also talking about wanting to raise his FICO score. Think of it this way. Think of it as if you're out in a field and a person is digging a hole. and you're on the other side, every time he pulls dirt out, you throw dirt in. Now, it might take him 5 hours to dig this hole that he wants it, the depth that he wants it. But with you throwing dirt in, it may take days, weeks, or months for him to dig that same hole. That's what's happening when you're looking at gaining money. You're wanting to finance at the same time. If you're wanting to invest, but you're also wanting to spend and borrow, it's like a game of tug of war. You get a little bit, you give a little bit. You get a little bit, you give a little bit. You've got to stop it. You've got to stop this. And I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm talking to me as much as I'm talking to you. I've been so guilty of this in my lifetime. My life has just been this up and down roller coaster. And it's time that I stop. I'm 54 years old. I don't want to be 74 years old having to drive a truck because I have to drive a truck. If I'm driving a truck at 74 years old, it's because I want to. 6 more years, I'll be 60 years old. I'm ready. I mean, I love being here. I love doing these videos. I love being on YouTube. I love talking to people, and I love meeting new people and interacting, even if it's just comments down in the comment section. I love doing that. Love driving a truck. But I'm getting old. I'm getting tired. I've been out here 25 years. It's time that I finally become financially straight with myself and I start planning on retirement. I'm not going to be able to get there in this time frame if I keep borrowing money and spending money and borrowing money and spending money and trying to make money. It's like if you're paddling a canoe downstream and then you turn around and go upstream and you take the oars and just throw them and say, I don't need these, I'm going to use my hands. Well, you're doing everything about fighting against yourself. Balanced goals. Balanced goals. If you have a goal, then make everything go along with that goal and not fighting against you getting to that goal. See what I'm saying? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. That is the reason my truck, my owner-operator truck, is sitting in the driveway. I don't want to borrow money to put whatever, $8,000, $10,000, $20,000 into that truck to go out here and make $1.50, $1.75 a mile, to make a couple of $100 more a week than what I am as a company driver. What sense does that make? I don't want to do that. Does company driving suck? Yeah, sometimes. Quite a bit of the times it does. But I have no expenses. I don't have to borrow money to be a company driver. And even if I do get the owner-operator truck up and going, even if I was to get it up and going, then you still have to do oil changes and tires and brakes and windshields. I've replaced, I think, I'm having to sit and think, that triggered something in my mind. One truck that I owned, I think I replaced the windshield in it like 7 times in 6 months. It just kept breaking and kept breaking. I hit an owl. I was in Missouri and I hit an owl and it went through the windshield and almost came into the cab with me. I had just got that windshield replaced that morning. And here I was having to replace it again. There's some people that's doing good as being an owner operator. Look at this guy right here. Beautiful flat top Pete. Lights all over it. He's pulling a reefer. He's got his frame stretched out. I don't know him. I haven't talked to him, but it looks like he's doing really, really good. There's some people that's got it figured out and knows how to do it. Balance goals. Don't fight against yourself. Know your goals, set your goals, and balance everything out to where you're not fighting against yourself. The last B in the 3 B's is a brokerage account. You must have a brokerage account to get into buying and selling stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, commodities, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. You must have a brokerage account. A brokerage, think of a brokerage as a bridge between you and the stock market. There's a guy in the middle of the bridge. You go hand him your money and say, hey, I want to buy this much. He turns and goes and gives the money to the stock market, comes back and says, okay, I've made your trade. That's what a brokerage is, plain and simple. It's the middle person. Now, people overcomplicate brokerages. All of brokerage is a vessel. It carries the information from you to the stock market. That's all a brokerage does. When we get into doing this, we get into buying and selling stocks, we are going to manually figure out what stocks that we want to buy, what we want to sell, what mutual funds, whatever it is that we're buying and selling, we are going to do it manually. So why have the most high-tech, most sophisticated brokerage that there is out there? Why overcomplicate it? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. I remember when I first got into stocks, this was 2007. We didn't even have apps back then. I had an LG flip phone. I just barely had internet. This was 2007. I didn't know anything about anything, and I was into it before I learned how to get into it, before I learned what I was doing, and I thought the brokerage was the one that made me money. I thought the brokerage did all of the legwork for me. No, that's not what a brokerage is at all. They want to take all of your money. One very, very key thing here. Remember what I said about not taking cash advances off of a credit card in order to get into the stock market? No, borrow money to get into the stock market. There is a thing that brokerages offer, and it's called a margin account. Whatever you do, never, 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 I will stress this throughout all of these videos, never do a margin account. Even if your brokerage tells you you must have a margin account, that is false information. If anybody ever tells you you have to have a margin account, they are giving you the worst information you could ever get. A margin account is where you borrow money from your brokerage to buy stocks, and you have to pay that money back plus interest plus you have to show a profit on your stocks. Never do a margin account. Never. Ever. If you get paperwork in the mail, if you get emails saying you must sign up for a margin account with this brokerage, no. Absolutely not. How do I know this? Because this dummy did. I was a full-fledged day trader. I had $25,000 into my account. I could buy and sell stocks any time of day that I wanted to. Multiple trades a day, multiple sells a day. I could do anything I wanted. And my stupid self got a margin account. What will happen is you drop under and that margin call hits, and here comes the pressure. You either have to put more money in, you have to get a stock really quick that's going to go up really quick to clear your margin call. Don't do it, folks. I'm telling you right from the start, don't do it. That is the most stressful situation you will ever get yourself into. Don't be a day trader. 90% of day traders lose their butt. It's a lie. And don't believe it. Buying and selling stocks multiple times a day, throwing money, good money after bad, trying to just navigate your way through, the ups and downs of a stock on a daily basis. 90% of them fail. And then you add the margin account on top of that, you're just adding stress to stress. So we're going to take a slow, calculated approach to this. No margin account, no day trading. None of that. Been there, done that. No thank you. Got the t-shirt. I don't want to go back. So, what brokerage do you choose? Really, honestly, it doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't. I would say probably Robinhood is the most popular one out there. If you want to go with Robinhood, go with them. I don't have a problem with it. I'll tell you about the ones that I've had. The first one I had was a company called Sogo Trade, SOGO Trade. You probably have never heard of it. It's not a huge brokerage. It's based out of St. Louis, Missouri. The reason I got away from Sogo Trade is because, not to bash them or run them down, I don't think they're a bad company, but it seemed like they were really slow. Now, this was 2007. How they are today, I don't know. I talked to them right before I made this video, and they're coming out with a new app that is supposed to be a really fast-moving, good app to put on your phone for the brokerage account. But they don't have it going just yet. It's in beta form. To me, and not to knock Sogo Trade, I don't have anything against them, except back then it was a little slow. That's why I got out of it. It was slow to get my buys in. It was slow to get my sells in. It was a little bit of a struggle. Plus, we had bad internet back then, too, so that could have been part of it. So I'm not totally knocking Sogo Trade. Go check them out for yourself and see what you think about them. Honestly, my honest opinion, I think you can do better. But then again, if you like them and you like what they're about, they were the Robinhood of the day. They were one of the first, if not the first, to come out with zero trades, $0 trades, no fees, no commissions, no cost. That was the thing that Robinhood got so popular on. You know, Sogo Trade wasn't zero though. They were just really low cost. They were like $3, I think, or $2.75 or something like that. They were a very low cost budget brokerage. Then Robinhood come along and said we charge zero for everything. Don't be so sure that it's zero for everything though. Read the fine print, because they still sometimes charge, even though they say it's zero, like a broker assisted trade, that could cost as much as $50. Okay? That could cost a lot. And we'll get into more of this. I'm not trying to overcomplicate it. I'm just talking about brokerages right now. Second one I went with was one you probably have heard of, TD Ameritrade. They are a Canadian based company, and they are in with TD Bank and TD Auto Finance. They've got a lot of different financials. That's something else you will find out about brokerages, is it's not just a standalone brokerage. They're attached to a bank or something, usually. And it makes sense because brokerages are out to make money, so banks are out to make money. They're financial institutions, so they're usually attached to something. I just didn't like TD Ameritrade. Back then, the website was very hard to navigate. It was very confusing. They had way too much information on their website. You had to click this to go here, and then open this window up to get into this thing, and it was way too overly complicated. They engineered it too much. Now, how it is now, I don't know. I haven't been to their website, haven't looked at them. I do know that they're in a little bit of trouble. You can Google it for yourself. There's quite a bit of lawsuits flying around with TD Ameritrade. I wouldn't suggest them. I wouldn't. Now, Sogo Trade, I think, is a very stable company. I think they're still a little slow, and I think you can do better. That's my personal opinion. TD Ameritrade, if you're thinking about going with them, you might want to do quite a bit of research on them, because there's some issues there with that company. Now, the last one that I was with, I was only with 3. I'm still with that company. I didn't really use it enough back then to even know. That was when I was getting out of stocks, right when I got into this company. It seemed good back then. It seems good now. They've got a good app. This company is Fidelity. That's the company I'm with now. That's the brokerage I'm with now. Their website is very clean looking. It's easy to navigate. Their app, I downloaded the app after I got back into my account. Their app looks very straightforward. It's not really clustered. It's not congested. It doesn't offer, craziness on there like TD Ameritrade was back in the day. It's just a very simple, clean, basic layout. Since we're going to be doing all of our own manual stuff, really all you need with a brokerage is one that you can click on that looks simple, that you can put in a buy order, and whenever you get ready to sell, you click on it and put a sell order. Besides that, you don't really need anything else on the brokerage account. You really don't. So keep it simple. One thing I did not like about Fidelity, when I called, they were I think, a foreign call center. Their phones were cutting out. I was trying to get my account opened back up. I hadn't even touched it since I think 2010. It had went into hibernation, so no one could hack my account, and I had to get in and get it, going back again. I had to answer some security questions and give some personal information, my email and such, and we got it back going. But it was really hard to understand the people. Their phones kept cutting out, and their accent. I don't know where they were from, but they had a really thick accent, and it was really hard to communicate with them. Most of the time, you're not going to communicate with your broker, though. Most of the time, you're going to do it just through the website and through the app. If that bothers you, look at a more American based company that has an American call center. I can see where that would irritate you, and if you don't want to go with Fidelity, hey, they ain't paying me anything, so I don't care if you go with them or not. It's the way I look at it. I wish they would pay me something, but they're not. And another big one that a lot of people like is E-Trade. Don't really know that much about E-Trade. I think you might want to double check me on this. I think E-Trade is JP Morgan Chase. I think that's who E-Trade is. Like I said, double check me to make sure. They're a lot of times they're connected with some type of financial institution. Charles Schwab, I think, has one too. I don't know what theirs is called. Maybe called Charles Schwab. Do your own research. I mean, there's quite a few of them out there. There's a lot of different options. I would look at really what their costs are. It's probably on their website, or they can, email a list of costs to you. They probably do have cost, even though it's got on their website, zero fees, zero commission, zero cost. There's probably some in there that's hidden. So look into it. I would suggest just finding one that is appealing to you, that you just like. I mean, honestly, I don't really have that much negative to say about Fidelity. Don't really have that much positive to say about it. Once I get in and I start doing trades on it again, which I haven't done anything whatsoever, but once I get into it, I may find out that Fidelity just totally sucks and I don't like them. So far, it looks okay, but I haven't tried to do business with them. So I'll let you know. I'll let you know what I think. Let me know what you think. If you have a brokerage account already, or you've experienced some of them, or you have some type of knowledge somehow, you can put it down in the comments and other people can talk about it. Maybe there's one out there that you just absolutely love and think it's the greatest thing in the world. I don't know. Like I said, we're going to manually be doing it. We're not even going to be using the brokerage to do really any type of research on stocks or anything. There's one thing that I did forget. Sorry, I left this out. Fidelity does own and manage its own ETFs. Now, if you don't know what an ETF is, it's like a stock, but it's different because it's a lot of different stocks put into one stock. I know that sounds confusing, but let's just think of it as Ford Motor Company is like taking a piece of bread and slicing it up into several different slices. When you buy one share of Ford, you're getting that, like, one piece of that bread. With an ETF, if you look at it the same way, that one slice will be several different companies inside of that one share. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to you, because you're not just buying Ford, you may be buying shares of 200 different companies built into one ETF. And Fidelity actually owns and manages their own ETF. It is a Fidelity ETF. And from what I've seen, there was several of them. Actually, it wasn't just one, there was several of them. And from what I've seen on their website, it looks like their ETFs are doing really well. And not just, today or last week or last month. They've been doing really good for a long time. So, and that's the thing, I don't know. Like, if you were with E-Trade, I don't know if you could buy Fidelity's ETF through E-Trade because it's owned by Fidelity. I don't know if you can cross that. You might not. That's something else that you might want to ask, find out about your broker. If you're wanting to buy, a brokerage's ETF that they own and manage, can I buy it, with a competitor's brokerage? Or do I have to be part of that broker to own their ETF? I don't know. That's something that you would have to ask about. And, a couple of those with Fidelity look so good. I actually just thought about just throwing a bunch of money into that and just calling it good. They were doing that well. Doing really good. And I can show you about it. So, anyway, I just wanted to do this video. It's getting really long. And hopefully all of these videos won't be this long. But this is my introductory, my first video of getting started with buying and selling stocks, the 3 B's, the preventive maintenance that we have to do before we get into buying and selling stocks. Hopefully this helped. Hopefully this was good information. Hopefully I didn't offend anybody by what I'm saying. It's just I want to see you do good. From the bottom of my heart, I want to see you do good. And I want to see me do good too. I do. I want us to all do good. So, why would I tell you false information or bad information and just sit and watch you fall and laugh at you? If one of us falls, we all fall. That's the way I look at it. So I don't want to lie and give out misinformation. I just want to be honest and tell the truth. And I want to see us all succeed in this. So, with that being said, I'm going to cut this video. You guys be safe out there. Take care of yourself. Help each other out. And we'll catch you on the next one.